And that was really your last dime? If that was really your last dime and you really haven't any, then I want to go to your house.
A silver screen actress, once trapped in an abusive relationship with the richest man in Austria, crafted a daring escape, arrived in America to become a movie star, and went on to develop technology that is used worldwide by all of us today. This is the story of Hedy Lamarr, who led a twisted double life. A famous movie star who held a powerful secret that would ultimately change the course of the modern world. Hedy Lamarr was celebrated for her stunning beauty, often hailed as the most beautiful woman in the world. But behind the dazzling facade of this Hollywood star lay a secret life, one twisted in espionage and a mind far ahead of its time. Born Hedwig Eva Maria Keisler on November 9, 1914 in Vienna, Austria, she was the only child of a comfortably wealthy, culturally refined Jewish family. Her father, Emil Keisler, was a successful banker who had a deep love for technology, often taking young Hedy on walks where he would explain the inner workings of different machines. Her mother, Gertrude Lichwitz, was a pianist and a figure of excellence and discipline. She instilled in Hedy an appreciation for the arts, enrolling her in ballet and piano lessons from a young age. The family's status allowed Hedy to attend private schools and receive a well-rounded education, where she excelled not only in the arts but also in mathematics and science. Despite the cultural and intellectual environment her parents provided, Hedy's beauty began to draw attention from an early age, overshadowing her intellectual capabilities. She was often praised for her looks, a foreshadowing of how society would later view her. However, Hedy's early years were not without their challenges. Despite the nurturing environment, she felt a growing sense of isolation. Her intellectual interests set her apart from other children, and the early emphasis on her beauty made her acutely aware of the expectations placed upon her. While she was encouraged to pursue the arts, there was less emphasis on nurturing her scientific curiosity, something that would later become a source of frustration for her. By her early teens, Hedy was already turning heads, and her striking looks led her to the world of cinema. At just 16, she dropped out of school and began working as a script girl in the Berlin film studio, where her beauty caught the attention of Austrian director Max Reinhardt. He described her as the most beautiful woman in Europe, a label that would follow her throughout her life. It was during this period that she appeared in her first film, a small role that quickly led to more significant opportunities. However, her big break came in 1933, when she starred in the controversial film Ecstasy, where she played a young bride trapped in a loveless marriage. The film gained international attention, partly due to a scene in which Hedy appeared nude, a scandalous move at the time. This chapter of Hedy's life laid the groundwork for her later achievements. While the world saw her as merely a stunning actress, behind the scenes, Hedy was nurturing a brilliant mind, one that would eventually lead to a groundbreaking discovery. The seeds of her secret life as an innovator were sown during these early years, as she balanced the public persona of a glamorous film star with the private reality of a woman deeply engaged in the world of science and technology. In 1933, at just 19 years old, Hedy married Friedrich Fritz Mandl, one of the richest men in Austria and a prominent arms manufacturer. Mandl was 15 years older and a powerful figure with connections across Europe, including leaders in fascist regimes. Although her marriage to Mandl provided her with a life of luxury, it quickly turned into a gilded cage. Mandl was intensely possessive and controlling, treating Hedy more as an ornament than an equal partner. Mandl's obsession with control extended far beyond her acting career. He kept Hedy confined to their lavish home, closely monitoring her every move. Despite her beauty and fame, she was isolated, cut off from the world she had known, and reduced to little more than a trophy wife. However, Mandl's life wasn't just about social gatherings and high society. As an arms dealer, he regularly hosted parties and meetings with high-ranking officials, including Mussolini and Hitler, to discuss weapons manufacturing and military technology. These gatherings provided Hedy with an unexpected education in technology and military strategy, sparking a deeper interest in science and innovative ideas, a side of her intellect that would later emerge in surprising ways. Fritz Mandl's control over Hedy Lamarr extended beyond personal and social restrictions. it seeped onto the professional sphere as well. One of the most notable instances of Mandel's obsession with control involved the film Ecstasy. The film, a Czech production, was notable not only for its artistic content, but also for the scandalous nudity that featured Hedy in her film debut. Mandel, who was fiercely protective of his image and that of his wife, was determined to erase any trace of this film to protect his reputation and maintain control over Hedy's public persona. Mandel's efforts to suppress Ecstasy were extensive. Using his considerable influence and resources, Mandel worked to ensure that all copies of the film were destroyed. He managed to track down and buy up as many copies as possible, employing a network of contacts to ensure the film was removed from circulation. This attempt to eradicate the film was not merely about erasing Hedy's past, but also about exerting dominance and controlling every aspect of her life. He understood the power of public perception and sought to manipulate it to his advantage. This extreme measure was emblematic of Mandel's broader approach to his marriage. Hedy's marriage to Mandel was a stark contrast to her youthful independence and ambition. The marriage had become stifling, and Hedy longed for freedom. She realized that if she stayed, her life would be one of continued repression and control. In a bold move, she decided to escape. Hedy planned her escape meticulously, but how would she pull it off under the watchful eye of her overbearing husband? Hedy Lamarr's escape from her controlling and abusive husband was nothing short of audacious, a true-to-life drama worthy of the silver screen. According to some accounts, she started saving money and jewelry, hiding them away for the right moment. On the evening of her escape, she drugged the maid who was keeping watch over her, took the maid's clothing to disguise herself, and fled her home. It is said that she even used one of her pieces of jewelry as a bribe to secure her freedom. Fleeing from her husband and her homeland, Hedy made her way to Paris and then to London, where she sought refuge and plotted the next chapter of her life. It was in London that she met Louis B. Mayer, the head of MGM Studios, who was captivated by her beauty and offered her a ticket to Hollywood. Hedy seized this opportunity, knowing it was her chance to reinvent herself and leave her troubled past behind. She changed her name from Hedwig Eva Maria Keisler to Hedy Lamarr and set sail to America, where she would soon become a Hollywood star. But even as she dazzled audiences on the silver screen, the scars of her past lingered. Her marriage to Mandel had exposed her to the darker sides of power and control, and her escape was not just a flight from a stifling relationship, but a quest for personal and intellectual freedom. While the world saw her as a beautiful actress, behind the scenes, Hedy Lamarr was a woman determined to break free from the constraints imposed on her, whether by a domineering husband or by the Hollywood system that later tried to confine her talents to the screen. Mandel's influence left a profound impact on Hedy, shaping her resolve and intellectual pursuits. Despite the constraints imposed by her marriage, Hedy's exposure to advanced technologies and military discussions planted the seed for her future innovations. Driven by the horrors of World War II, Hedy's desire to contribute to the war effort took her far beyond the roles she played on the silver screen. She ventured into the realm of complex technology, pioneering innovations that would ultimately impact almost everyone living today. Hedy Lamarr's twisted double life led her from Hollywood stardom to technological pioneer, which was marked by an unexpected blend of creativity and intellect. During World War II, she began a collaboration with avant-garde composer George Antheil. Antheil, known for his innovative approach to music composition, brought his expertise to the table. Together, they aimed to create a secure method of communication that would prevent enemy forces from intercepting or jamming military transmissions during World War II. Lamarr and Antheil's collaboration was driven by a deep sense of urgency to contribute to the war effort, particularly in the face of the devastating impact of German U-boats on Allied naval forces. These submarines were wreaking havoc on supply lines, and the need for a reliable, secure method of guiding torpedoes became critical. Their partnership was as unconventional as it is innovative. Antheil, who had experience synchronizing musical instruments, particularly player pianos, brought a unique perspective to the challenge. His expertise in creating coordinated sequences inspired the idea of using a similar approach to radio transmissions. The concept of frequency hopping, where the transmitter and receiver would jump between different frequencies in a synchronized pattern, emerged from their brainstorming sessions. This method would ensure that even if the enemy detected the signal, they wouldn't be able to follow it long enough to jam or disrupt the communication. The brilliance of their invention lay in its simplicity and effectiveness. Traditional radio-controlled torpedoes operated on a single frequency, making them vulnerable to jamming. If the enemy intercepted the frequency, they could easily send interference or even take control of the torpedo. Lamarr and Anthiel's system, however, spread the transmission across multiple frequencies, which would change in a prearranged sequence. This constant shifting made it nearly impossible for the enemy to lock onto the signal long enough to interfere. To make this idea a reality, Lamarr and Anthiel designed a system using 88 different frequencies, the same number as the keys on a piano. The system required both the transmitter in the ship and the receiver in the torpedo to be perfectly synchronized, a feat they proposed accomplishing with a mechanism akin to the rolls of a player piano. Each hop between frequencies would happen in milliseconds, creating a communication method that was both secure and highly resistant to interception. Their invention, officially titled the Secret Communication System, was patented on August 11, 1942. The patent detailed how the frequency hopping could be controlled automatically using a mechanism that synchronized both the sender and receiver through coordinated signals. Despite the significance of their invention, Lamarr and Anthiel did not receive immediate or widespread recognition. Lamarr's fame as an actress overshadowed her contributions to technology, and the complexities of patent law and technological development delayed acknowledgement of her work. Even though the patent was granted in 1942, it wasn't until much later that her innovation would quietly become a foundation for technology we now rely on every day. Remarkably, in the 1990s, as wireless technology advanced, the principles behind Lamarr's frequency hopping and spread spectrum communication evolved into today's Wi-Fi and Bluetooth technology.